we got an email in about this next news article. We have not. I look back. We have not talked about the situation on the podcast at all.
Not at all.
And no.
Weird.
And part of the reason I personally haven't brought it up is because when it was kind of bubbling over and when it started, there wasn't a lot of facts about it. It
That's
just
true.
kind of seemed like, I don't know what's true and what's not in this situation. So it's like, I don't want to comment on something I don't know the entire story of. But I will read the email first and we can get into it. So this email comes to us from Todd from New York, New York. Hi, 572 crew. I'm curious your thoughts concerning this whole Assassin's Creed fiasco. Seems like you guys have kind of avoided this topic when going through news, and I'm curious where you guys stand on the game. Are any of you even remotely interested in playing it this fall? Any of you skipping it because of the controversy? Thanks. So the controversy surrounding this game, which they could have easily skirted this entire situation by just originally coming out and saying that this game is, which we all know what it is. It's historical fiction.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what all Assassin's Creed games have always been. But for whatever reason, they didn't want to do that with this game. And now they are. Now they are coming out saying it's historical fiction, but for whatever reason, they didn't want to do that. So the controversy surrounding this game has been around the real life actual character of Yasuke, which is the African-American guy.
You're right.
If he really was a samurai in history or not. A lot of the stuff came out that the guy that did the research apparently fumbled a lot of it from what I read.
Yeah.
And has been kind of discredited. They're pulling down a lot of his research and stuff. And the Japanese community is very pissed off about this game to the point that the government over there has gotten involved and they're actually talking about banning it in Japan from not releasing, which is a huge fucking deal for Japan because it's the first one set in feudal Japan.
But they do that kind of stuff with anything that shows their country in a negative light. Like, obviously,
they do.
There's been war games in the past that have either not released there or had to change things drastically to even be released, which makes sense because, like, there are parts of their history they want to forget. There's parts of our history we want to forget. Like,
oh, for sure.
But you know, there would at least be something about it where if it was historically accurate, then why they even tried to do that is beyond me. None of this stuff is historically accurate. We're also talking about it being historically accurate in a franchise which is about me laying in a machine and going to the memories of my ancestors who had a magic apple that the aliens blew up the sun with or some shit. Remember how stupid those games were, like, in the beginning?
Remember Assassin's Creed, what's the Greek mythology one? I can't think of it.
Odyssey?
Not Origins. Odyssey, right? Yeah. Half of that is, Greek
not
mythology.
Yes.
Not real. But
like,
you fight Medusa in that game.
Yeah, the games are meant to be, like, inspired by a time period in history.
Yeah.
You could have made this guy just be an original character. You could have written him a whole backstory about how he was brought over on a boat and forced into this life.
Yeah.
And he's breaking out of the life. And everyone would have been like, cool, man, sure.
Yeah.
But no, you had to go digging in history to try to find something.
To justify it.
Anything that would fit what you wanted to do. And then spin a whole story about how this actually happened. No.
And then to double and triple down on
triple
it.
down,
And
company
then
backs
come out
you.
and go, nope.
And then, oops, never mind.
Now here's it. Not one, not two. It's 4 pages of an apology. I don't know if
that's crazy.
No, I didn't.
It's a 4-page apology.
That's crazy.
I read through it.
It is ridiculous. But yeah, for me, I'm not interested in the game. It has nothing to do with the controversy. I don't care about samurai stuff, and I'm tired of samurai stuff. And I look at this game, it's not what I'm interested in. Like, I just had Ghost of Tsushima a couple of years ago. I didn't care for Sekiro. I'm happy that they finally made the feudal Japan game that everybody's begged for. I mean, you remember 10 years ago, when we were working at GameStop and people would come in before they would announce that year's Assassin's Creed. The number one thing someone would say is, "Boy, I hope it's set in feudal Japan." So it's crazy to me that we finally did it, but then massively fumble this part of it.
I'm not interested in it just because I've hit the Assassin's Creed burnout wall again.
Yeah.
Even after loving Origins and loving Odyssey even more.
Yeah.
Valhalla I started and it just didn't hook me right away. I do want to go.
It hasn't hooked me.
I do.
And that's my other thing too. It's like if I'm gonna play one at this point, I'll just go to that one that I haven't played much.
I'll play the one I own that I've only played like 4 hours of, and I'll do what I do, and I'll wait for Shadows to be $20 at some point, because
whatever Game of the Year version,
Ubisoft is insane, and they will put gold editions of these games on sale for $20, like
digitally,
a year and a half or 2 years after they come out.
That's how I got Odyssey for so cheap.
Yeah. So that's why I got all of Origins again on PlayStation, because like I think the whole thing was $20.
Yeah.
I might just go play that. You know, I'd probably rather play that again on PlayStation after I completed it on Xbox than play Shadows, right? Just because I'm tired of the mess. I'm tired of like, even though
somehow
I know
it's been beaten more to death than some of the Gamergate stuff has. Like,
but even though I know that these games are coming out like 2 to 3 years apart from each other, it still doesn't feel like that. It still feels like there's too many of them in a short amount of time.
A lot of that, though, is COVID has fucked up our concept of time.
Well, there's that, but I also think that it's because to finish Odyssey took me 150 plus hours.
It took me 150 hours.
And Origins takes the same amount, and Valhalla, from what I can tell,
even
takes
longer,
at least the same amount.
Valhalla also has that like big story expansion they put out, which is even more stuff. So
I just, those games are too big to come out as close together as they do.
It is. So for me personally, it has nothing to do with the controversy.
There's another one in production too, right? The other one, the Hex one?
The other one that's called, I believe it is called Hex. That one is supposed to be something different, though. It's like an online,
more like
they're trying to expand it.
That's the online thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So as far as after
I still haven't even played Mirage.
I haven't played. Mirage. I'm not really.
I don't know. I'm interested in it because it's different. Because it's not.
Probably would take you 150 hours.
Right.
Yeah. It seems like it's more like.
But that's another one. Like I haven't even touched that one. I'd rather try that than get into the Shadows crap. At least until Shadows comes out, and I can read a review that tells me if it's like technically a good game. Because I can get past the story because I can just skip everything and say fuck it, I don't care. I don't have time for story in video games anymore. Sad but true.
Yeah, no, you have to, especially if you get to a point where you have to budget your time.
Right.
Like, I've had to do that more and more.
But unless it's a game like Baldur's Gate where the story is the game.
Yeah.
Right. That's a narrative game with dice roll mechanics and stuff in it.
That game, I also have no problem sitting down going, okay, I'm going to sit. I have 2-3 hours to sit and play this. I might not get very far.
Right.
Because I'm learning the concepts of it, and I'm fine with that.
That's a D&D game, so the whole point of a D&D game is telling a story and writing a story.
Yeah. So that game, I have no problem with its length because of what it is.
Right.
So, but yeah, when you look at like an Assassin's Creed, I just don't feel like dumping 150 hours into jumping through all those hoops again.
Mm-hmm.
Getting all this collectible, that collectible, exploring this giant fucking map that's 8 times the size of the last one. It's like, really, dear God. So yeah, I don't know.
The other thing too is like just one last thing on Assassin's Creed. Like, aren't they remaking Black Flag?
Supposedly that's the rumor.
Okay.
They have not confirmed that.
I'd rather play that again.
I would also rather play that again.
Yeah,
like that's probably my favorite one. Yeah,
that's probably the best one that I really felt like. Well, I mean, and I haven't finished playing Odyssey either, so I mean.
And I think you said you haven't played Origins, right?
I started it, but I didn't like it, so I just stopped.
That game that was the last one I cared about.
Takes a little bit.
Like, I really like the story of too, because your buddy Bayek is awesome.
He's a great character.
Yeah.